Teaching in a multi-modality environment. Hello, my name is John Graham, and I'm the Elementary Digital Learning Specialist at the Maine DOE. And joining me is my partner, Emma. I'll let her introduce herself and get us started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma Banks. I'm the Secondary Digital Learning Specialist and the Computer Science Specialist. Today, we're going to be talking about teaching in a multimodality environment. So we figured we should start by talking a little bit about what are multimodalities. So in this environment that we're in, there are various ways that students can attend class. They can either attend in person, where they're attending class in person at the school. They can attend virtually. Sometimes they're attending class virtually from home. And they can also do a combination of both, so blending both virtual and person. So this is when a student attends class in person at school and virtually from home, depending on the circumstances. There's also two other factors to take into consideration, and that's synchronous and asynchronous. So in a synchronous setting, teacher and students are connected at the same time and at the same place. In asynchronous, the teacher and students are separated by time and or place. So those two factor into the modality that is being taught as well, and the modality that students are learning in as well.
Planning for the unknown. So things are going to be changing faster than anyone can really keep track of or plan for, as they might like to. So I think with all of those changes happening all of the time, we kind of know that that's going to be the case. So we're trying to think of what are strategies, approaches that you might take to make that process a little bit easier.
So next we're going to talk a little bit about some best practices and survival strategies for teaching in this multimodality environment. One of the most important things when teaching in a multimodality environment is to make a plan and stick to it. So use a single plan. Design a plan that can be used no matter how students connect with their learning. This means don't have a plan for your remote students and for your in-person students. Really make sure that you have one plan that works no matter how students are connecting. And then share that plan. Students should learn about and be familiar with the plan. You should refer back to the plan as often as possible and really make it a part of the classroom experience. And then build this variance into the plan. So plan for a multimodality environment. Create a plan that isn't reliant only on one modality. To help with all of this, following a consistent routine is key. So no matter which modality students are connecting from, make sure that there's consistency in the routine that they'll engage in as much as what you can. Also set clear expectations. So develop expectations for students within each modality and refer to them often. And then use a we're in this together approach and gather feedback from students on the plan and how it's working for them, as well as how it's working for you.
So with technology, use the technology to keep things simple. We've got a few strategies here that hopefully will help in terms of your technology choices and how you roll it out and facilitate it in your classroom. So key one is having a single management system. So you're not jumping between different ones. Kids have one place to go. Parents have one place that they can go, hopefully, and check and stay on top of the work that they need to do. That kind of goes along with having one messaging system. So just one way that you're pushing out information. Sometimes schools have their own, built-in structures that you'll have to kind of comply with those on these two, and you might want to do your own thing, but I think the more consistent you can be as a school is always helpful. But certainly within your classroom, trying to be as consistent, day to day is helpful for everyone involved. Purposefully selecting technology, really think about what you're using, how you're going to be using it. If it's stuff that they're, maybe using in other classes, then you can benefit from that transfer. You're not trying to teach them a new technology piece. And then the scaffolded use part of it is, providing that support that they need and understand that if it is technology that they've maybe used in one way, it's going to take some time to get used to using it in different ways or as those different elements and pieces come in. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go along. Student choice. So I think this often works in education. As much choice and self-determination as students can have, often will help. Sometimes this can be tools. So if you're asking them to fulfill a certain task, sometimes they would have the benefit of selecting one of several different options for that. So I think anytime you can give them a variety of options and they can kind of choose and do their own thing, that can always be helpful. And then using what works. So don't feel like you need to reinvent the wheel. Don't feel like you need to try anything that's new and exciting. Consistency here is like the best thing. So trying to keep using those tools that maybe you've used in person with students, maybe they're using with other teachers, those are all going to build upon their knowledge base and comfort level with the technology that you're using within your classroom.
Consider alternative approaches to teaching. So in this multimodality environment, there's a lot of things that we can't control. So what are some alternative approaches that we can take that might make things a little bit easier? You could consider using a flipped model. So make use of the different modalities that students are connecting with and have specific assignments for specific times. You could also, if you're not comfortable with a fully flipped model, you could do a semi-flipped model. So that would include pulling out the elements of a lesson that are best for a flipped model and flip only those elements. Don't worry about flipping your entire class model. Can also incorporate a genius hour, so engaging students in inquiry-based and student-directed explorations, really letting them choose what they learn about. Building that into a multimodality environment can be great. And then last, include community engagement. So look for those opportunities to engage students with their communities. What's going on in their local community that they could be a part of or could engage with?
So moving from teaching to learning, consider alternative approaches to learning. So we've got 4 listed here that might be helpful for kind of framing some that have elements that you definitely could bring into a multimodality environment. So the first one, experiential. Obviously, experiential learning is very much about getting out and having experiences, sometimes facilitated by a teacher, sometimes it's going to a place and having some sort of experience. Think about those elements, whether it's a field trip or something like that you could bring into your classroom setting that students could engage in, no matter where they are or what they're doing. So those kinds of pieces for experiential. The project-based, I think thinking about the, what can they be doing to be working on that's part of a bigger something. And for some students, that type of big project, they really thrive in that environment. It's easy to get them to get out of their comfort zone if they're working towards something, something bigger. Portfolios, certainly having students put stuff together. And with technology, you're able to do that digitally, curating those pieces, getting them in a single place, making it look presentable in a way that they'll feel really good about their work. They'll be reflecting on their work as they're putting that together. That's always a positive. Design thinking, so working through a problem and going through the whole design thinking process, which obviously there are a lot of resources out there if that's something you're interested in. That can be a very positive experience for students where they're really working to solve a problem and thinking about all of the different pieces that go into that and trying and fixing. Definitely a positive.
Our final strategy is to remember that this is hard and to connect with others. Whether that's joining a social media group, following and or participating in a Twitter chat, or finding a podcast or a few podcasts that you find enjoyable. You can also look into local and virtual professional learning communities and connect with other teachers like yourself. Or exploring relevant blogs. So some teachers will keep up on blogs or other educational experts, and they share information that can be helpful. And as always, you can talk with your coworkers, whether that's within your school or within your district, or just other teachers who are like-minded like you, really remembering to connect with others. You can also find out who your school's MLTI ambassador is and connect with them. And if you're interested in doing so, check out the slideshow that is attached with this video and click on the link to find out who your school's MLTI ambassador is and connect with them. Thank you for joining us.